Father, as we gather here tonight for this meeting, make the decisions for the city of Taylorville, Lord, I just thank you for Steve Craig's bringing forth the effort to bring us to the reality of getting our city back in order. Lord, just thank him, the committee that worked with him, the presentation to this tonight to us, and it will undoubtedly help us through this situation. Lord, just be with us. Be with the ones that are not able to attend. Be with the sick that that have the disease, and Lord, just watch over them. Thank you for all of our people in the state, and thank you for our first responders, and then thank you for everything that you do for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Megan Bryant.
Here.
Larry Bud.
Here.
Sean Bertle.
Here.
Ernie Dorchenez. Kathy Driscoll.
Here.
Lee Lanzotti.
Here.
Jim Olive.
Here.
Chris Coletti.
All aldermen are present, either live or on Zoom.
I don't think so. I don't think Ernie's on there, I don't think.
Well, they have to be so we can roll call them.
Yeah, sure. She's trying.
I got a snowman on the middle of the screen, but then at the bottom there's 4 pictures. The snowman, Rocky, Ted, and Andrea. Yeah, there's a snowman Jim at the right-hand side who can roll it over.
Can you tell him we're here?
All right. Julie did the roll call. Ernie, are you here?
Mine will scroll over.
Are you here? Chris, are you here?
Are they on mute? Are you on mute?
I have 2 city iPads. I don't know who the other one is.
Are you on mute though, this device? Because they're not even hearing.
Okay, Chris, Matt, and Rocky, and a snowman
No,
on the
they're
left.
not muted.
And right in the middle of the screen is a snowman. Oh, that, what'd you do? Somebody did something.
Are you here, Chris?
Tap your screen, Ernie, and you'll see a drop down at the top.
Oh my God.
And then you'll see start video. Okay, hit that. Hit that, and you'll be able to see everything.
There you are, Ernie.
But can they hear us?
Oh,
It's
that
not
makes me
muted.
happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you here, Ernie?
Hello?
Are you here?
I am here.
All right.
Chris Scoltetti, are you here?
I am here.
Okay, all aldermen are present. Need a motion to approve the omnibus vote designation. Motion by Alderman Bryant, second by Alderman Bertle. Roll call.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Lanzotti.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Coletti.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Minutes of the regular meeting held November 2nd, 2020. Minutes of the Personnel Committee meeting held November 9th, 2020. And minutes of the Emergency Services Committee meeting held November 9th, 2020. Motion to approve all the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bryant, second. Alderman Bud. Roll call.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Lanzotti.
Yes.
Jim
Yes.
Olive. Chris Coletti.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the low bid for liquid aluminum sulfate from Chemtrade for a price of $410 per dry ton. Motion by Alderman Bertle.
Second.
Second by Alderman Olive. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Lanzotti.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Coletti.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the low bid for liquid chlorine from DPC Enterprises for a price of $539 per ton. Motion by Alderman Bertle, second by Alderman Olive. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the low bid for CO2 from Airgas for a price of $220 per ton. Motion by Alderman Bertle, second by Alderman Olive. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the low bid for powder activated carbon from Brentagg Mid-South for a price of 86.8 cents per pound. Motion by Alderman Bertle,
Second.
second by Alderman Driscoll. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive. Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the low bid for hydroflousilicic acid from Brentagg
For you to say.
Mid-South for a price of .299 per pound.
Can you say that one more time?
I didn't catch it.
Motion by Alderman Bertle, second by Alderman Driscoll.
Second. Third.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez. Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the low bid for acetic acid from Hawkins for a price of 31 cents per pound. Motion by Alderman Bertle,
Second. Second on the low bid.
second by Alderman Olive. Questions or comment? Roll call.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy. Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Ernie?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the $10,000 contribution to the Veterans Memorial at Lake Taylorville from the Hotel Motel Fund. Motion by Alderman Bud, second by Alderman Landzadi. Questions or comment?
This question, I missed this meeting, obviously. Where did this come from? Thought we had already committed some stuff to this.
This was already committed in the budget from the
Okay.
hotel motel tax.
Right.
That is correct.
And we have that money in the Hotel Motel tax.
Yes,
Fund.
we should have that in there because we had appropriated that with the funds that we had done.
But actual money in the bank account, I'm not sure.
Should have.
The last reports that I seen was,
Okay.
But that was in August, the last report I saw.
even there,
Do we
the
have
one
any
before,
reports
the one after
since
that,
then?
that I,
There's September reports, but,
and it was in there then.
okay.
And si-
October numbers aren't done?
And since then,
No,
we've
I'm
given
still in
8,000 to
balancing.
Chili Fest.
We already
Was
approved.
that in the September fund or was that in October?
That one probably came out of the
That's already
October
come out.
funds.
Yeah.
October, so.
But I still believe it's there. If it's not, then they'll understand. But it should be there because we already had all those numbers figured in there when we did this.
That was in the last two meetings.
But revenues are
Let me
down.
go here.
Hotel motel revenues are down, aren't they, Jackie?
So do we need to change the motion up to $10,000 depending on what we have in the hotel motel tax? Or is that something
You'll have
we
your
can
own
pay
first
and then
look.
pay back that fund later, Mr.
Can we
Romano?
table this till she can go down and look at the report to see what it is, and we'll bring it back? Because she's going down and check the funds, or can you wait just a minute?
We can wait.
We can
Okay.
wait.
I don't know any other expenses.
Yeah.
We're looking for that report.
Just, and I'm not trying to be brutal here.
No.
It's on the damn agenda.
Revenues are down.
This question, we should have the documentation of
That's what I'm
it.
trying to say.
We should also have October numbers.
Budget, if we had
I agree.
September numbers, it was something we had to spend on anything else.
I'm looking it up here if I can find it.
That's what we,
Well, she's already went down to get it now. She'll be back.
she would think.
But the funds are there.
Yeah.
We're waiting for Jackie to go down and get the numbers, Alderman Skoltedi and Dorchenez.
Okay, hey Chris, I just thought I saw that deer move on that wall behind You probably see the fan. There's three of them. I got it with the fan. It was, the head was in the way. All I could see was, I thought that was the answers going around. Big head. I'm surprised you can see anything that's set behind me. Yeah, well, you're so close to the screen.
We're gonna have to move you guys.
It's in there,
It's in there.
Okay.
The money's in there?
yes.
Been drinking tonight, early.
Okay, so the motion to approve the $10,000 contribution of Veterans Memorial at Lake Taylorville from the hotel fund. Got a motion by Alderman Bud, second by Alderman Lanzotti. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Chris Teddy,
Yes.
Megan Bryant,
Yes.
Larry Bud,
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez,
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Yes. Lee Landzadi,
Yes?
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to bid and or advertise heavy equipment being positioned in the cemetery department. Motion by Alderman Bertle,
Second.
second by Alderman Bryant. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Megan Bryant,
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez,
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim
Yes.
Olive. Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion regarding the downtown Taylorville promotional advertising that was decided at the November 16, 2020 Finance Committee meeting. And what this basically is, they would like for us to enter a 3-year agreement where the cost is approximately $62,000 the first year and $48,000 in year 2 and 3. And when talking with the attorney, Rocky, you had some question about whether the city could get form of...
Because your old term is expiring in May, you need to have the limit of the contribution up to the end of your term. And then as the new term starts, you can renew the motion to extend it for the balance of the 3-year term. But you should not be entering into a contract that exceeds your term at this time. You'll still be able to get the money to them, but you're gonna cut it off from whatever it is from now, whatever you're gonna give until May 1, the first meeting in May, and then come that first meeting in May, you'll make another motion to pick up the balance from the rest of that next 4-year term.
Okay, Alderman Bertle has a question.
Yeah, Rocky, explain to me why we have to do that, because it's not a contract with the mayor, it's a contract with the city of Taylorville and the BED fund, so whether Bruce is the mayor the next term or not, the contract is really not with him, so is there something I'm missing that requires?
Yes, the limitation is based upon the term of the mayor, the city contract,
Okay.
for this particular type of contract. You're gonna be able to do the same thing you wanna do, but if you ask me what's legal to do, you figure whatever amounts you want to give for the rest of this mayor's term, and then at the commencement of the next 4-year term, you can pick up the balance and however you want to pay it.
So it's because it's a BED contract, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone understands that we can only enter a contract that will pay until May 1st.
So we need to flag this for May 1st of next year, that
Right.
first council meeting, that we automatically renew this.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Driscoll, second
Sorry.
by Alderman Bertle. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Larry Bud,
Yes.
Sean Bertle,
Yeah.
Ernie Dorchenez,
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll,
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy,
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to move the Street and Sewer Committee and Public Facilities meeting to Tuesday, November 24, 2020 at 6 p.m. Motion by Alderman Olive, second
A second.
by Alderman Driscoll. Questions or comments?
I asked Chris if he was.
Chris, are you okay with moving it to Tuesday instead of next?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tuesday at 6 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of potential COVID mitigation. I put this on the agenda I'm getting plenty of phone calls about what the city is going to do. I had our city attorney look into the legality issues of what the city may or may not do, what the mayor has the power to do. And so I'll turn this over to Rocky to explain what the city may or may not decide to do and what the mayor may or may not decide to do. So, Rocky, it's all yours.
I had a very lengthy conversation today with the Illinois Municipal League General Counsel, Patrick Hayes. This is a hot topic for the Illinois Municipal League. I invite all of you, since the city is a member, to go to iml.org. There's a wealth of information, and it's a very dynamic, moving topic that you're going to read about. What I sent to you in an email after I finished talking with him late this afternoon, I sent you all some documents that we talked about in that discussion. You should have received a copy of the governor's most recent November 13th disaster proclamation, which if you'll look back there on the second to last paragraph of it, you're not supposed to have any more than 10 people at that meeting from going forward from now. That needs to go into effect on November 1. I also gave you the IML's memo that came out on November 1 and on November 16th, just today. We found out that the appellate decision, a recent decision, was rendered last Friday. That's that Fox Tavern case against the governor, that the appellate court ruled in favor of the governor that what his proclamations, that he had the statutory authority to do what he's talking about doing. I also gave you information where the IML news release, and the fact is that because we are in Region 3, we are now at Tier 1 mitigation requirements. I gave you a copy of what those requirements consist of. Essentially, as you read through that, you'll see that there's not going to be any more indoor eating, limitation on how many people can be inside, and a whole list of things that the governor is promulgating that everyone should follow. Now, one thing you'll see in the IML guidelines, they still think that curbside purchases like grocery stores and so forth are still not prohibited. Now, the question is, what can you as a city do? You recall back in April, you adopted an ordinance that gave the mayor that he could announce an emergency proclamation by declaring like a pandemic, increased wave. That would be good that he could issue some certain rules and so forth up until the next council meeting, next regular special council meeting. But when I was talking with the IML today, the legislature has not given much assistance to the municipalities in Illinois, according to IML, particularly not, your non-home rule municipality. And the governor is a little bit confusing, according to IML, about what we can and should be doing. He says, the council says one thing, and yet we see figures being pointed at towns not doing what they can do. IML's position, and I'm gonna, this is something that I think makes some sense to me. You have the power to investigate, whether it's on a complaint or on your own, have your police investigate, or your zoning officer investigate, make a report, and if they find that they appear to be violations of the governor's proclamations, then that can be referred to your local state's attorney's office. That's the safest way for the city of Taylorville to do this. Why? Is because this is a new area that you run the risk if you adopt an ordinance and put out these rules and regulations. You may have people suing the city because it impairs their liberty and the Constitution, whatever it is, shutting down businesses or impairing their business opportunities. You're inviting a wealth of litigation against the city if you yourself adopt an ordinance to try to mandate what people can and can't do. What they did put out, and I've given you a copy of that, there was given those guidelines out there, we want the mayor wanted to do that. The bottom line is, can you adopt ordinances? Yes, you could, but I think you put the city at risk to do that. By doing it the way that I think they are recommending or suggesting, I agree with, is that when you refer to the state's attorney has a discretion whether or not he wants to prosecute or not. He is protected, his office is protected by governmental immunity, prosecutorial immunity, whereas the city of Taylorville would not. So he's protected from businesses suing him, or if he wants to shut them down or not. In other words, we wouldn't be. So it's a tough environment because yes, a lot of communities are getting questions from constituents. What are you doing? What can you do? What should you do? I leave it up to you folks. The safest way for you, and the IML does encourage that you recommend that everyone follow the governor's proclamations and his rule: social distancing, masking, and keeping the 6 feet apart. But if you find violations, refer them to the state's attorney and let the state's attorney decide whether or not to prosecute or not. So that's kind of lay of the land right now. So it's up to you which way you want to go. So any questions thus far?
Question, Alderman Bertle?
Rocky, if we do nothing, what's the downside?
Well, according to IML, nothing, because these are by the way, the violations, what I learned today, a violation of the governor's executive orders that's promulgated to the Department of Public Health, the violation is a misdemeanor. All right? So if it's violated, then the state's ready to decide whether not to file. We're not the enforcer of the Department of Public Health. Okay, but we can take an active role in having our police force keep an eye out. If you see violations, make up a report, and just keep referring to the state's attorney and let he decide whether or not they want to prosecute. Now, if the mayor, I think one of the things that came up in a question is that if there's a wedding reception after November 1, that's not going to be, I think that we're down to 25 people now, or 25% capacity. That's the maximum you can have inside right now, according to the governor. So the mayor has the power to decline that liquor ordinance for a 7-day period if it's going to be violated, and can refer to the state's attorney that question as to whether or not the state attorney wants to prosecute. But it just makes sense because there's, we've got some of the population doesn't accept that there's a COVID-19 pandemic, or doesn't think it's as severe as it is. They're free to think that. Some of the population may think that we shouldn't be shutting down businesses. They have the right to feel that way, or that they can't be forced to wear a mask and impairs their liberty, the right to freedom. So those are all valid legal questions that haven't been determined by the courts, but it's something that perhaps the city of Taylorville shouldn't be the target of which, because it could involve a lot of money. And I don't even know whether or not that type of litigation would be covered by your insurance carrier. That's something we'd have to check out.
Well, in my opinion, I would encourage the mayor not to do that as far as wedding receptions or any other kind of gathering. As far as I'm concerned, I think the virus is serious. Do I wear my mask 100% of the time? Absolutely not. I do try to wear it when I'm around people, especially people I don't know or don't hang out with on routine occasions. But this is still the United States of America, and we still have freedoms. And we have those freedoms because we stood up to people that have tried to tell us to do things that we normally don't have to do. So I think that as a city body, we should probably encourage people to wear their mask when they're out and about. But trying to enforce that, I think, number one, it can't be done. Number two, is I don't think we should be the force to try to enforce that. And, and I could go into example after example on how they are justifying other things, that people are in close contact with one another without social distancing, through a mask, and that seems to be okay, but normally those things involve a high amount of dollars in the end. So they're not going to give up everybody's right to produce revenue for the state or municipalities or cities, but they will ask an individual business owner to give up their right for revenue because they want them to do something. So I think we should encourage people to social distance, to wear masks, and that's all we should do.
Let me follow up with that. I think, simply put, I think what IML message is that, while they are encouraging all municipalities to encourage following the governor's rules, particularly with masking, social distancing, and washing hands and so forth. But until the legislature acts to provide litigation immunities to communities, it is a dangerous proposition for a municipality to go out there and try to enforce that. And their best recommendation that I gathered was, if you want to investigate, make a report, give it to State's Attorney, and let that person make the call who has that cloak of immunity for these types of issues if he gets challenged. So.
Hey, I have a question.
Alderman George Vaness?
You know, as I understand it, Governor Pritzker has, they're closing down all the restaurants, right? Is that right?
Well, if you look at, and let me just get it in front of me so I don't say something wrong, but the mitigation requirements that was on the IML website, which I gave you a copy of, I'll just, there's probably 15, 20 things here, but bars have to close at 11, can't open earlier than 6, no indoor service, all bar patrons should be seated at tables outside. You can't order, seat, or congregate at a bar. Bar stools should be removed. Tables have to be 6 feet apart. You can't stand to congregate indoors or outdoors while waiting for a table or exiting. No dancing or standing indoors. Reservations are required for every party. No seating of multiple parties at one table. All restaurants have to close at 11, and they reopen no earlier than 6 the following day. No indoor dining or no indoor bar service. All tables should be 6 feet apart. You can't stand or congregate indoors, that's a repeat. The actual meeting of social events and gatherings, which includes weddings, funerals, potlucks, etc., is limited to the lesser of 25 guests or 25% of overall room capacity, both indoors and outdoors. No party buses, gaming, and casinos must close at 11 o'clock. They're limited to 25% capacity. And they have to follow the same mitigations for bars and restaurants. And outdoor activities must continue per current DCEO guidance. But I think I think you can still have drive-up facilities, like grocery stores that still serve. Yeah, the IML does not believe these mitigations restrict takeout, drive-through, or delivery options for restaurants.
So you cannot dine in, right?
As of November 1, you cannot dine in. In Region 3, which you were in.
Right. Here's the question that came today. I've been reading the newspaper and et cetera, and they're talking about when Biden comes in, one of the things he's talking about is a lockdown, and some of his supporters and his advisory, he's formed an advisory group, and they're telling him that's bad for politics, and you don't want to do that, so they're arguing about that. But what about if you put a tent? You know, a tent, to me, outside, if it's heated, they're saying if you can, some of them are heated now, and you can be inside a tent, but you can't be inside a building. Can you be inside a tent inside a building?
If you look at the material I gave you, is and that's a good question. IFL says that the state's guidance is subject to any required municipal or local commission restrictions or requirements, serving alcohol outside. Tents may be used for outdoor dining if at least 2 sides of the tent are open to allow airflow. If more than 2 sides of the tent are enclosed, then it's considered indoor dining. Indoor dining, which would be prohibited. I would have to look in our orders. I think we would have to allow tents to operate in our town. We probably have to change the liquor orders to allow the service of alcohol in that tent environment. Because right now, I don't think our orders is allowed
don't.
Any other comments? Alderman Bud?
Well, I had the COVID. And I'm gonna tell you what, for 3 or 4 days, I was sicker than heck. And as being as leadership, at least we should do is recommend that everybody be required to wear a mask. That's the least we can do. Let me tell you, if you get a family member that gets this, and something would happen to them, and we didn't do nothing, I would feel very sorry for that family. And it's happening every day. And it's not just your elderly people. I watch the news every morning, faithful. And there's kids as young as 2 and 3 years old that have caught this COVID that are dying. We should take some leadership and at least ask that masks be worn in all public places. Rocky's saying we shouldn't make it an ordinance. Okay, but at least we could do is ask the people to wear the mask. That's the least we could do. Okay.
No, let me make sure that you're hearing me correctly, Alderman. The face mask is probably was probably the most safe thing the city could do according to INL. Because you either wear a mask or you don't, and then you just simply send it to, it's prosecuted as a municipal violation, and you go forward with that. But it does, when you make it mandatory for everybody with a mask, what IML was telling us was, if you get sued by this impaired liberty issue, Constitution, you're just going to have to fight it out. But you don't have any protection from the legislature. According to IML today, they decided that the legislature was not going to go back in session until next year. So there's not going to be laws out here to protect us when we're in here with this next wave.
I have a comment.
Comment, Alderman Driscoll?
We already have the signs on the stores and the restaurants saying you have to wear a mask in there. So what exactly are we proposing to do is tell people they have to wear them everywhere outside in their cars? I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I didn't ask that.
Okay, I'm making sure I'm getting clear on this.
I did
because
not ask that.
We already have the requirements for private businesses or private restaurants and stuff. What more should we as a city do? I say no more.
At least we could be able to say that we are asking the people to wear a mask
We said
when
that.
they go out to the private businesses. You go into Walmart, I wear a mask.
That's what this is said. He already said that he would just recommend, as Sean said too. We would tell people stay 6 feet apart, wear your mask. But I don't think any kind of an official proclamation is necessary.
I'm not asking for that.
Okay.
But I think that this council could at least have it out there that we support wearing masks in the public places.
Hey, Rocky, I got a hypothetical question. And I'm asking this because I've talked to a lot of business owners, especially restaurant business owners. I shouldn't say a lot. I've talked to a few. And from what I understand is they're not interested in closing up shop again. Most of them are not interested at all. So if they've been closed this entire time, I'm assuming that those restaurants will probably continue to be closed on the inside. But what kind of, if our police force, I don't want to say let people do whatever they want, but if they don't write an ordinance violation or I don't know what you call this thing, that they're not following the governor's orders, and a restaurant is open, legally, the city doesn't have to do anything to that business owner, or legally do we have to do
Well,
something?
we wouldn't be prosecuting that kind of a hypothetical scenario. All your officer would be doing is to say, hey, I see that they're not following the protocol or the governor's proclamation. Puts it in the report, gives it to the state's attorney, and it's on his lap to decide whether to prosecute, not us.
But do we have to do that? That's
Well,
all
you
I'm
don't
asking.
have to do any of that. But you can, if you're gonna do anything, that's the safest way to do it.
I'm personally, my opinion is that I'm with Larry, we encourage people to wear their mask. You're not gonna make the true non-believers wear it. I mean, you're just not. And if the business owners want to try to enforce it at the door, that's their prerogative, it's their property, it's their business. And if they want to enforce it, they should enforce it. But as far as our police force going around and telling restaurants that they shouldn't have customers in their building or, writing some kind of citation or sentence to the state's attorney that, Jim Hall didn't have his mask on while he was at Ace Hardware or whatever the scenario would be, I don't think we should get into that. personally.
Well, if you take a peek at the face mask ordinance that the IML came out in April this year, and they give you examples of when masks should be worn. And that would be like if you're shopping or working at a retail business, like in a grocery store or pharmacy. If you're picking up food from a drive-through or curbside pickup, or if you're visiting your doctor or healthcare provider, or if you're on public transportation like a taxi or ride share, or you're interacting with customers, clients or co-workers, either in business or worship, or a church, you're performing services for the government, for the city, where you have close interactions with other people, or if you feel sick, cough, sneeze, or otherwise ill, that's what the municipal league put down. That's probably when you should impose masks if you're going to have it, not all the time, but those kind of things when you're putting other people at risk.
Rocky, was the original law that you wore a mask, or mandate that you wore a mask when you could not maintain a 6-foot distance? If you could stay 6 foot away from somebody, you don't have to wear it.
CDC coming out now that 6 foot is not far enough.
But that was the original mandate. That was the original mandate. You only had to wear it if you could not maintain a 6-foot distance.
Well, I don't think that's what the government's going to come out with now, but yes, you're right. I mean, we've heard all kinds of different scenarios. We heard you didn't need to wear a mask at the beginning. Now everyone should wear a mask. I think those that have had COVID are probably saying, like, what I was saying is, if it'll help somebody else not get it, why not wear a mask for the protection of your fellow citizens, I guess is what Larry's saying.
All right. Any other discussion, questions, Alderman Olive?
Just like Rocky said, I'd like to just come out with some kind of if nothing more than a statement, that the city is recommending that to protect your fellow citizens, and that we recommend following the governor's guidelines of mask and distancing and so on and so forth. And I think that's, beyond that, I don't see it having to do, I mean, all the rules and regulations are out there, they've been out there, you kind of see who's going to follow them and who's not. So for us to go out and put ourselves on a limb, I don't think it would be something that would be too smart for the city to do.
The media's here tonight, America makes a statement right now.
So we're going to make a statement from the city council or from the mayor, or?
I mean, I think we'd all have to be in agreement with that to make it from city council, correct?
Right. Does somebody want to make a motion that we make a statement that we encourage all citizens to wear masks, practice social distancing, wash their hands for the safety of not only themselves but for the rest of the people in town?
I'll make that.
Motion by Alderman Bud.
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Olive. Roll call.
Not gonna pass.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Sean Bertle,
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez,
This free meeting has ended, it says.
Well, that's the thing with Zoom, is Zoom's only good for 30 minutes.
Okay. Did somebody try to get him back on this, please?
I would need to. Yeah, right.
I hear Andrew Travis.
You got Ernie there, Jackie?
No, Andrea might. I hear she's coming up the steps.
You got
It's right
it,
here.
We can disconnect him?
I think so.
We don't need more legal rights.
Here's your sign. We gotta cut down on the budget, so we only need half the variances tonight.
it's out there. I sent them, I set the meeting for 2.5 hours and then it cut off.
So what's our quickest way just to be able to get through this?
I don't need space time them.
I don't.
I think it should be redundant.
That's something I said.
All right.
See, I tried to.
Ernie and Chris, are you back?
Maybe
It just seems like.
maybe the citizens are telling us we're taking too long.
Ernie and Chris, are you back? Chris, are you available?
I'm here.
Ernie, are you available?
Yes?
There's a motion that the city council recommends that all constituents wear a mask, practice social distancing, wash their hands, not only for the safety of others, but for the safety of themselves. The motion was made by Alderman Bud, the second by Alderman Olive, and roll call vote. Julie, roll call.
Yep.
please.
Sean Bertle,
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez,
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll,
No, with comment.
Lee
Let's vote
Landzadi.
No.
I'll come back to your comment. Jim Olive,
Yes.
Chris Coltetti,
Yes.
Megan Bryant,
This is easy. You don't have to do it. You're just saying that you should.
I know, but that comes back to why no.
No, okay.
Larry Bud,
Yes.
Motion carries 5-3.
My comment?
You still have a comment?
My comment, not that I disagree with that we should recommend it, it's simply that I don't feel that the city needs to repeat what has already been out there in the news. Everyone knows this already. There's simply no necessary reason for the redundancy of saying that we make an official agreement to this. We already know it.
Thank you.
So you're gonna make the statement right now? That's here?
let's do
You
it
already
after
made
the
a
meeting.
statement. The city made the statement.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
That was it.
And Megan said
Yeah, I've lost my agenda.
I think it's my turn.
Yeah.
City attorney update, Rocky?
Okay, let me, first thing, right, is, we're running up against the deadline, folks. The truth in taxation motion must be adopted 20 days before you adopt your tax levy ordinance, which the drop deadline date is the last Tuesday in December, which will be what, December 29th. So, I think I would suggest you better have a special meeting next week after your finance committee this Thursday to make that 5-minute motion, a 5-minute meeting to make that motion, because so that 20 days will tick. I think in future years, we need to get these numbers sooner. They're available. I represent a couple other communities, Taylorville Fire Protection District as well. We get these tax extension numbers weeks ago because the county has them. That's what the truth in taxation motion is based upon, what was actually extended from, received of your extension from the previous year. Those numbers should be readily available by the end of September, early October. So I just caution and remind the city that we need to do it in a timely fashion, because you miss those dates, there's no excuse, you lose your tax levy. So I would say on the agenda for Thursday, be sure that you have those numbers, be sure you have that motion coming out of that committee. Mr. Mayor, I'd recommend that you call a special meeting on Monday and have that motion passed so that 20 days will take, so you'll be in time to be able to adopt your tax levy on December 23rd. Questions?
We're gonna have that Wednesday night at finance. We will take care of the tax then.
I have a
Is it on the
question.
finance?
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda
For
for
the
Wednesday.
numbers. I was always taught to wait till the final came in, which we don't have, not received our final, so I don't know what our, the bank interest is.
Actually, you should have those numbers are there. I don't understand why they're not there, because in other communities that I have, you simply get a hold of the county, they print out the sheet, you got it, you do your 104.99%, and that's the amount that you have in truth and taxation motion. Okay?
All right.
You have to do that so you don't have to do a public hearing. Then when you kind of do your tax levy ordinance, you can adopt, whatever it is, you want to make sure you exceed that number, and you're never going to exceed that number because we're under a tax cap county. We will never be able to pass over 1.0499% as it stands legally now. It's just very important that we have that taxation motion timely done so that you can get your tax levy ordinance.
It is on on Wednesday's finance committee, and Jackie and I will call the county tomorrow and get those numbers.
Okay, and then just so you know, the Taylorville Fire Protection District trustees has tweaked the agreement somewhat. I think, Mary, you might have gotten a copy, the fire chief, I think, got a copy. They're going to vote on it this Wednesday, so it'll probably be back before you folks to consider. I don't think you're gonna have any problem with one of some of the changes. I think probably Matt, you probably had some input with some of the language anyway, so that'll be on the next city council meeting.
All right.
You've all received an email from me after our last meeting that a gentleman by the name of Donald Felton has filed a federal district court lawsuit against the city, against 2 of your police officers. And that's in the process of trying to make sure we forward it to your insurance carrier. They're trying to make sure that we get properly defended, and that's still a work in progress. Next item on the Illinois Department of Labor complaint that was filed by Bill Newberry. After talking with the mayor, looking at the ordinances, it was decided it was more cost effective to go ahead and pay it, which was $300 and some change minus the tax withholding, but with the recommendation that the 2 ordinances in question go back to the appropriate committee, get amended, get revised, so we don't have these issues. And that's relating to overtime and holiday pay issues regarding your superintendents. So if that's something that is of concern, needs to be ordinances redone. The next item is that I think I received something from, I guess it was Alderman Bug, and I haven't had a chance to look at yet, and that is the contracts that apparently you folks are looking at for leasing through Enterprise a number of your city vehicles. So I'll need to take a look at that before you get it to you as soon as I can. And then the final thing is, I have not heard anything whether or not it's gone back to committee or what you want to do about those sewer ordinance discussions that we had at the last meeting. So, any questions for anybody? Then that's it.
Seeing no questions, mayor update. Thank you for the discussion on the COVID mitigations. I hope we came to a compromise where everyone can stay safe. I hope that each alderman will wear masks, practice social distancing, wash their hands, not only for your own safety, but the safety of everyone else. We need to be great examples for our constituents. I would like to congratulate the Taylorville schools for going back to remote learning. This Saturday, Susie Trauber and a host of us will be hosting Dinner Season with Love for people in our town. We're going to try to do a drive up at the Calvary Church from 11 to 2 and invite everyone to come. Committee reports. Discussion and or motions to approve, adopt, and or deny, and or table, and or amend, and or refer to an appropriate committee in whole or in part the matters regarding the following subject matters discussed at the committee level. Alderman Lanzotti.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to recommend to the City Council to bid and or advertise 1 plant operator, 1 position, number 1 position in the water department. Make that a motion.
Motion Alderman Lanzotti, second. Alderman Bertle. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to recommend to the City Council to promote Derek McConnell to a heavy equipment operator in the water department. I can make that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Alderman Lanzotti, second by Alderman Bertle. Questions or comments? All in favor?
No.
All opposed?
Did you have a comment?
Motion carries.
Did you have a comment?
Yeah, is that A or B? Heavy equipment A or B?
I don't know what we decided on that one. Sean, is that a or a B?
Which one pays more?
B, A, B, more. I think
It's an A then.
Is it?
I think it was a B we recommended it.
West, A.
That wouldn't even matter.
Okay,
I'll speak up.
go ahead.
All in favor?
We already did that.
Did that? I mean, well, I didn't know. We were in the discussion part here, so. Is there already been two? Okay. All right, thank you. don't make me look like a fool, because that's not what I was saying, because I asked her a question, and I wanted to address that. Don't make me act like that. Disrespect to me, I don't like that. I don't disrespect you.
I wasn't disrespecting you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Motion to recommend to the city council to promote Tammy Rogers to an office level 2 in the city council, or city clerk's office. Make the formal motion.
Motion by Alderman Anzani, second by Alderman Bertle. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Who's got a question?
I thought that was a 3.
No.
Two? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Emergency Services, Alderman Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two motions that came out of our committee meeting. The first one is a motion to recommend to the city council to approve the purchase of 3 pagers at a cost not to exceed $2,457 for the fire department. I make that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Alderman Driscoll.
Second.
Second by Alderman Bryant. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ernie Dorchenez,
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bennett.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes. Motion carries 8-0.
Okay, our second and final motion would be the motion to recommend to the city council to purchase 1 set of turnout gear for firefighter call at a cost not to exceed $2,087 from Max Fire and Safety. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Alderman Driscoll. Second by Alderman Olive. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Ernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve and or ratify payments of bills. Motion by Alderman Bud, second. Alderman Bertle, comment. Alderman Bud.
Bills total $297,377.02. Electric, $15,888.13. Fuel, $10,961.70. Garbage, $6,683.27. Travelers for our liability insurance, $41,309.75. U.S. Bank, $8,538.62. Napa, O'Reilly's, and AutoZone, $3,663.56. Tyler Technologies, $2,132.24. Meyer Ostermano, $5,180. Altorfer, $18,482.49. Computer Tech, $6,558.98. Neil Tire, $2,897.19. Downtown Taylorville.org for Hotel Motel for July, August, September, I believe it is. $5,199.48. BDD, Maggie Tar for the mural, $2,500. Safety Committee, ATCO Safety Grant gift cards, $1,518.64. Police and Fire for uniforms and equipment, $2,263.97. Police Department, First Mid Bank. This is for the unmarked car, which is the final payment, $10,237.56. ServPro, $3,200. Street Department, Bodine Electric for signal maintenance, $13,574.49. Polis, $11,353.20. Sewer Department, C&D Bank, Factor Truck final payment, $47,306.91. Bandwidth Engineering, $5,161.87. Water Department, Core and Main, that's for hydrants and tracer wire, $42,082. Chemicals, $14,290.76. Utility pipe cells, $2,392.40. Midwest meter, $1,337.50. And these all total to $284,914.71.
Question, Alderman Olive.
Larry, you probably answered. That Maggie Tar, did we get our
Drawings?
murals or whatever, our prints from her?
I haven't seen them if we did get them.
I don't know, I mean, they wouldn't have came to me.
That's something I'll ask Steve Craig. Steve Craig's been talking to.
Okay, because that, we weren't gonna pay it till then. That was one of the stipulations.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Right. All right. Alderman Bryant?
Is it possible, Jackie, this is more for you, is it possible to get our month-end numbers before the middle of the next month? So we kind of have an idea of what's going on?
It just depends on, I look at my payroll weeks, and then, I'm waiting on, Denise McLeod from ePay, because we're $18 off, so I'm waiting on that money to verify if it's coming into our account.
But
There was
everything
that.
else we could have a pretty good look at, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Before it's, this far into it, we're trying to decide what we're doing on things, or
I
just no.
try my best.
Per subparagraph G, oh, we gotta vote on this.
Yes, please.
Roll call.
Lee Landzadi.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Driscoll Teddy.
You might be done again. I'm sure that was.
He votes yes, I'm pretty sure.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes, I
Sean
do.
Bertle. Ernie Garcia. Kathy Joseph.
Yeah.
Motion carries 8-0. Per subparagraph G of 5 ILCS 120/2.06, this portion of the city council meeting is reserved for any person wishing to address the council on any relevant subject matters concerning the city. The Illinois Opens Meeting Act 5 ILCS 120/1 mandates no action shall be taken on subject matters not listed on the agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the subject matter to a future council and/or committee meeting. If anyone wishes to address the council, please provide your name and address, limit your comments or presentation to 3 minutes, and avoid repetitious comments. Anyone out there like to speak to the
I have
council?
one question.
Alderman Olive?
I just wanted to mention that we have a roof leak. So we've chased it 2 or 3 times, and I gotta call into them again, but I'm just letting you know that we're gonna have, but we're gonna have to start looking at a new roof on the other 2 sections of the building. The other one, the section that I had done, it has a 30-year factory warranty on it, so we're good for many years on it. So I'd like to,
Well, I recommend that we put that on public facilities meeting for next Tuesday, Chris, about looking into a roof replacement for the municipal building.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first I'm hearing about it. I thought we, actually found the source of the leak, so yeah, we'll get that on the agenda.
well, we thought we did, Chris, but they called this morning and there's another drip on the floor from a different location.
And I might suggest that we, do like we did the police roof, that we hire somebody to set the specs for a roof instead of hiring the cheapest person that gives us a bid, and let our architecture, I forget the guy's name that did the police roof.
Darren Johnson.
Darren Johnson.
Darren Johnson doesn't like
If he would, maybe get the specs for the roof, or we, and then put that out for bid.
Mike Zeitler.
Not
Mike
Zeitler.
Zeller.
Not Zeitler.
Zellers.
Zellers.
Mike Zeller, so
Yeah.
but that will be on the, we'll put that on public facilities meeting for next Tuesday.
I got a comment, but, okay, Owen said something before I did.
Comments?
Hold on, Alderman Bertle's got a comment.
Oh, I just want to let everybody know, I know that packets went out for the upcoming election, but as of right now, I'm not running for re-election, so if there's somebody in Ward 4 that thinks they would like to run for alderman, I would suggest that they pick up a packet. And I apologize that I did it too late, because I think I probably should have announced it before now.
All right, Owen, you got something to say?
Just to clarify, the motion about the small town Taylorville, was it then for $62,473 for 1 year, and then to revisit it the years 2 and 3 in May? Is that the way I understand that?
Basically, that's what the ordinance, that's what the motion was, because we'll have to revisit it if there's a new mayor, new council, or
So the motion reads then really 62,000,
Correct.
whatever, for this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I'll come afterwards, I'll show you this sheet here.
Alderman Olive, you got something to say? Anything else?
No, thanks.
I would like to,
He told me that, because
I would like to tell the aldermen that we're getting plenty of phone calls on banning the burning of leaves. So that will be on our council meeting for December 7th. I know we voted it down last May, but I would like for each alderman to call their constituents to see how the people feel in the community. So we have a vote on it at the December 7th meeting.
When those people call you, do you encourage them to reach out to their alderman?
Yes, I do.
Because I haven't gotten I've gotten one message like a month and a half ago, and that's it.
Three.
Well, I had 2 calls today, and I believe they were from your ward. And I both encouraged them, I said, that is a vote by the council, and so if you feel so strongly, I would encourage you to call your alderman.
So then to me, that means they don't, because I haven't heard anything,
That-
don't or do.
That's all I can say, and I tell them, as for the rules, I can only vote if it's a 4-4 tie.
I had 3 in my ward call, text, and I don't know if you responded to them or not, but I told them, I don't know the schedule in my ward. And then come to find out, it wasn't, the lady wasn't even from my ward. She was in
Well,
Ward 3.
the schedule is citywide, so it doesn't matter what ward you're in.
That's what I'm saying.
It's basically the weeks that there is a council meeting
Okay, but
that runs from the month of October to May, I believe.
what I'm saying is that if I get these calls and they're not in my ward, I tell them to call, their person, Ernie Dorchenez or Megan Bryant. Maybe that's the reason why you're getting calls, I don't know. But in reference to that, I've had a lot of people, driving by and coming, or at Walmart parking lot, or Kroger's. We gotta stop this burning of the leaves because it, it affects my, breathing. And I saw it, just bring it before the council, I'm telling you, or the committee.
As far as, I've had 2 calls from your ward,
See?
about a car, and I just took care of it. I didn't tell them to call you, I just took care of it.
Okay, well, thank you.
I would like to encourage you aldermen about going around and looking at trees that we may or may cut down using ward money. So, I know we're cutting a few down in Ward 1, there's a few in Ward 4. I think I had Kathy look at a couple of them. If you would contact me, I'll give you the trees in your particular ward that I've had people wish to get cut down, and hopefully we can move forward with that.
This one of the comment on the leaf burning, I get the whole pros and cons for it, but, because you have, I don't know how many, let's say we had 3 dozen people call about leaf burning, 3 dozen people versus the 12,000 population in our city, it doesn't necessarily represent the masses who want leaf burning banned.
Right.
It just means that they're more vocal about their
Right.
opinion. So
No,
just because we get a few phone calls about not burning leaves, doesn't necessarily mean everybody wants it that way.
No, and that's why I encourage the aldermen to maybe call their constituents to see how they feel.
Maybe the Taylorville Police Department should put a poll on their Facebook page, since everybody's friends with it. Do a poll and poll the community.
Because Mike, if they can't burn leaves,
Easy.
I don't know that your little get up down there that hopefully it ain't near big.
No, thank you.
Poll the community, please.
You're gonna have to make the entire park lot leaf hold facility or get another location to dump them.
People would burn leaves when they're dry, instead of right
Yeah,
out in
it
the wet
wouldn't
pile
smoke.
and setting them on fire and letting them sit and smoke all day, you wouldn't have a problem.
But you
Yeah.
only burn them on the weeks they can burn them.
Well, I understand that.
What
but-
part of that problem?
Well, you can leave
Well,
it.
like I said, that will be on the December 7th council
I
meeting,
just leave my windows open.
and we can discuss that. Okay, anything else anyone like to add? Motion for adjournment.
I'll make that
Well,
right.
Rocky, go ahead.
I got 3 quick things I forgot. Number 1 is that, the commodity demolition is, is ongoing. Title work has been done. I believe Mr. Goodall is putting in the, briefs, the necessary publication notice, the sign has been posted. I assume he's sent out the lien notice to the state of Illinois and the other lien holder. So hopefully 30 days hence, that project will move forward. The other thing is, I just remembered in August, I gave you folks a 4-page legal memo on the COVID-19 city personnel policy that you asked me to prepare. I didn't know if you want to think about revisiting that. I don't think you guys are going to act on it, given this increased wave that we're now undergoing. And then finally, Mr. Mayor, you need to see if you got any emails during this meeting from the public, because according to the notice, you would address those at this time.
Okay, I will check them real quick. So my computer.
Yeah, let's take care of it.
Everybody's trying to.
You know, somebody else brought that, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit down and for the record. I may have to run that on December 7th.
Right, I mean, I have all that breakdown, right? I've got it, Steve emailed me several days ago, and I've got that. I just wanted to make sure the wrinkle today was that occupancy was only approved through the term. They didn't specify the tax minute.
And yes, I have on,
Well, in my opinion, that's what I was asking. If it's only approved for the first year, essentially what you approved, not the subsequent.
You guys are weird.
Right, so yeah, that's what I was making sure, because there was never a dollar amount when you came to the point of voting on it to say, initially it was one vote, the initial motion was one vote, year for year one, year 2, year 3, and then Rocky said you can't vote for years 2, year 3, basically, you just said you can only vote for May, and now it's
I get calls about people.
You're the only person that takes my call, because every time he calls
I did, I got calls from people, I know, I'm like,
that's
I
the sewer
told them,
department,
I
that's up to them.
got-
And we've even transferred calls to you guys.
Well, thanks for doing that.
No, it's no problem. I'm not.
No, I did not get any emails. I did get a letter today, so I did get a letter today. I probably should have brought this up when we were talking about the COVID mitigation. I feel that Taylorville has changed from a great place to live to a very sorry place to live. Why, with our numbers going up drastically, haven't you as a mayor, Taylorville Police Department, and city officials taken any measures to keep us safe? We are taking all measures to keep ourselves and others safe. Restaurants or bars are still open. Stores do not enforce wearing masks, and other organizations are holding fundraisers and dinners with large groups present. Taylorville would like us to support local businesses and restaurants, but we don't feel safe and protected. If we want to order, carry out, or shop, we now do most of it in Springfield. Kudos to those few restaurants that are doing their best to ensure our safety. We still do frequent them. In Springfield, they do enforce wearing masks, they wipe down carts, and they fine people who won't follow mandates. We feel safe there. Please take measures to make our town a great and most importantly safe place to live. I did receive another email earlier today. I enjoy a good tavern as much as the next person, but during this time of COVID, shutting down taverns for a period of time may not be a bad idea. Unlike local restaurants and stores, I'm sure you realize social distancing and masks are pretty much ignored in taverns. Please take this into consideration for tonight's discussion. So those are the 2 letters I did receive today. So, other than that, motion for adjournment. Motion by Alderman Bryant, second by Alderman Bud. All in favor? All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.